I happen to have a Stanley 9.5, which is sort of the classic adjustable mouth block plane, and I happen to also have an English version 12-920, which is the modern day low-cost equivalent to the old 9.5. And so I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison. And as I did a few weeks ago, the comparison with the English later version of the model 60.5 low angle block plane, I'm going to do that again with these two. The big significant difference between these two really is in the blade adjustment area. In that last image I just showed you, I weighed these as I did those other planes, and you'll see that the 9.5 weighs 1 pound 6 ounces. The 12-960 weighs 1 pound 12 ounces. I know that doesn't sound like much, 6 ounces, but it definitely feels better in your hand. There's some heft, and as you probably well know, when you're using a plane, heft matters. It's good to have weight. It gives you, I would call it, inertia behind the stroke as you're planing the wood, and the heftier the plane, at least in my estimation, the nicer and smoother it works. I even weighed these little front plates, and the later English plane weighs more. Again, mine says made in England. It's cast into it. It's cast into the blade as well. I don't know about current ones that you'd buy a 12-960. Maybe I was lucky to get an English one. I don't know. Here I am assembling the movable mouth area of the plane. Again, both of these planes I've had long enough. I've lapped them both. They both are clean. They both work really well. Here's the adjustable mouth area. Again, even a heavier screw, a heavier piece of steel in the mouth. It moves and works very smoothly. The track area that adjusts the blade is wide and heavy. There's a lot of casting there. It just rides in a little channel and operates with a screw on a knurled knob. Again, this is the main difference between these two planes, and I will show you that in a moment, how the blade adjustment works on the classic 9.5. They both have similar lever caps. Both of the blades are similar. I think the English blade was a little thicker, a little bit heavier, and again, it just rides just like kind of any block plane. The only real difference between this and a regular block plane is the ability to move the mouth. And you can see there, as I'm doing that adjustment, it moves the blade in and out. Now you're going to see, and there's the lateral adjuster, is a more of a carriage lateral adjustment. That's the 12-960. Now here is the Stanley 9.5. Again, this movable mouth part is more of a cast piece, but it's machined very well. It works very smoothly. The knob is not quite as heavy as the one on the 12-960, but it's still nice and heavy, and the movable mouth works very smoothly on both of these planes. You can see here I'm adjusting it in and out. They both work very well that way. Again, they're both nice and flat and level. The lateral adjustment is this lever, which I think in some ways I like a little bit better than the 12-960. It seems to be a little more sensitive. And definitely the adjustment area that I'm putting on right now, the knob that adjusts the blade in and out, is much, I think, superior. It's more fine-tuned because just of the ratio of the arm that's being moved there and the little notch. It takes almost 10 full turns of that knob to move the blade about 1/8 of an inch, whereas on the English plane, it's maybe 4 full turns. So you do have a little bit more sensitive as you're just sort of sneaking up on the blade depth as you're getting ready to use the plane. This is just a little more, it's not unlike any other plane. They're almost all work this way, but I think that the 9.5, interestingly enough, I think has a little bit more fine-tuned blade adjustment. Blade rests in there, rests on a notch, just like the other plane. Lever cap works just the same as the other plane. And they both are very secure, they're very tight. You'll see in a minute as I use them, they both produce a really nice shaving. And I will make maybe a little bit more comment on their performance here in just a minute. Sometimes you just need to tighten that screw a little bit to get more of a secure setting of the blade. Again, there I am adjusting the blade. I'm telling you, you have to turn that thing quite a bit to get that blade to move. And in a lot of ways, that's a benefit, not a takeaway, because it does allow you to sort of sneak up on the setting. You can see how many times I have to turn it just to move it even 1/8 of an inch. I think the leverage that lateral adjustment gives you is maybe a little bit friendlier and nicer to use on the old 9.5 than it is on the 12-960 heavier plane. Here I am sharpening them again, as in the other planes that I tested. I keep these sharp, so I'm just showing you the way I generally do it. I will put some pen marks on the bevel and run it on that diamond stone just to pretty much put a polish on the bevel. And once I've done that, I'll turn it over and flatten the back side in case a little burr has been turned up. And I just kind of double checked the sharpness of both of these planes before I tried them on the wood, just to give a fair test between the two, having them both nice and sharp. Once I sharpened them up, I taken them over here to a piece of wood and just doing a kind of a test. This is the heavier plane, the 12-960. You can see, look at those curls. Just absolutely perfect chunks of wood coming off of there. Super easy to glide over the wood. Again, I do love a hand. Look at that. Look at those. They're really, really nice. Taking off nice layers of wood. I'll try this on the bevel here just to do a little chamfer. Again, this is probably what I use a block plane for more than anything else, and you can see it's taking off a nice little string of wood on both sides. Again, this is a nice, hefty plane. You can definitely tell you've got quite a bit of cast iron in your hand. Now here's the 9.5, and it took a little time to get it adjusted, but you're going to see as I'm running this, I'd have to say again, because it's a little bit lighter, I know it's not a ton lighter, but it's a little bit lighter, you tend to, I think, have to push a little harder because you're more relying on your strength than you are on the heft of the plane to carry the blade through the wood. I also was probably taking too heavy of a cut, and you can see I loosened that a little bit, and just again look at those nice fine ribbons of wood that are coming off of that piece of wood. I have to say they both, look at that, they both really operated just the same. I feel like the 9.5 might be a little bit more of a precision piece of gear, but I will also say, as in the other low angle test that I did, I like the feel of the heavy plane better in my hand than I do the lighter plane. I'll probably never get rid of this plane because it's a classic, just like the old 60.5. You can't have too many planes, I always feel, but I do think I like the heavier plane better. So that's it. The classic Stanley 9.5 over against the English version 12-920. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.